Hold up. Before you go anywhere, I've got the 5 must-know answers to make your relocation to the greater Baltimore area seamless. Stay tuned for the essentials. Your Baltimore journey starts now. If we have not met, my name is Mark, and today's video is all about the 5 most frequently asked questions when moving or relocating to Baltimore, Maryland, or the Baltimore suburbs. The third question everybody wants to know, I'm going to cover it. And as far as number 5, please, you got to stay for that. It totally caught me off guard. Let's go. Let's get it on. These 5 questions are in no particular order. Number 1, for most frequently asked question is living in Baltimore expensive? Please. It all depends on what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing Baltimore to DC or Baltimore to New York City or Baltimore to Philadelphia, then hell no. Baltimore is absolutely affordable. Compared to Boise, Idaho, or to Bangor, Maine, or Raleigh, Durham, then yeah, Baltimore's going to be more expensive. It is a prime east location, but it's affordable. Check this out. You cannot compare oranges to peaches. According to Movado.com, labor statistics, and the U.S. Census Bureau, Baltimore and the Baltimore suburbs have a lower cost of living than the national average. Couldn't get that out. Anyway, housing affordability, the median home end price in Baltimore is 15% below the national average. The median home price in Baltimore, check this out, $275,000. National median home price, $385,000. Again, bang for your buck in Baltimore. Utility and transportation costs in Baltimore are 10% lower than the national average. Average monthly utility bill in Baltimore is about $150. Transportation costs, gas, public transportation, obviously it varies, is about $100. Grocery and healthcare expenses, grocery expenses can be 8% less than the national average. The average grocery bill in Baltimore, they're saying is $200. I don't know. Every time I go there, it's $100. So I don't know where they're getting that. But anyway, healthcare costs in Baltimore are 5% more competitive than the national average. Maryland state income tax rate is 4% on average, 2% lower than the national average. State income tax rate in Maryland, 4.5%. National average state income tax rate is 6.5%. Major savings there. Hard to believe that Maryland's below that average. Did not know that. Job market and wage growth. You got to understand, Baltimore has a massive job market. The annual wage growth in Baltimore is 3%, outpacing the national average, which is 2%. Annual wage growth in Baltimore is 3.5%. National annual wage growth is 2.5%. Big difference there. Average annual salary in Baltimore, according to Movado.com, is $71,000. I'm telling you, there's money to be made here in Baltimore. A lot of bang for your buck, and it is affordable. So the answer to your question is yes, Baltimore is affordable. Number 2 on the list, what is the weather like? Look, if you're looking for 4 seasons, then boom, Baltimore will check all your boxes. I've lived here all my life, and I love the 4 seasons. 4 seasons divided by 12. 12 is 3 months each, good, bad, or indifferent, but they don't last forever. But you also have that ability to reset your soul every 3 months, and I love that aspect of it. The spring's absolutely gorgeous. It starts March 20th. Obviously, that's when spring starts. But the average temperature here during the spring is about 50 to 70 degrees. You're going to average about 10 inches of rain throughout the spring here, which I don't think is that much. Allergies can be an issue. If you're allergic to tree pollen or any of that pollen nonsense, it's going to be tough for you. Sometimes I go through about a week and a half to 2 weeks where it's a little bit difficult. We do get heavy thunderstorms during that area, and temperatures may vary. But the happy part about spring, winter's over. Now the summers can be hot and humid. Average temperature 75 to 90 degrees, 12 inches of rain throughout that summer season. We get high temperatures, we get high humidity, and it can get uncomfortable. But it doesn't last forever. We'll have spells where it's 4 or 5 days in a row of that excessive heat and excessive humidity, and then it breaks. That's why you go to the beach, you go to the ocean, you go to Bethany Beach, you go to Rehoboth Beach, you go to Ocean City, you get away 2 to 2.5 hours from Baltimore area. Love that. The fall. Here, this is from my brother Dave, his famous, poem in the family. The lawn needs raking. I smell pumpkin pie baking. Monday night football. The Colts are beating. Almost time for trick or treating. That's my brother David M. Ritter. We love that. It always reminds us of the fall. I don't know. I got lost there. Average fall temperature, 55 to 75 degrees. It goes late into November. Here we are today. We're second week in November, and it's almost 75 degrees. Boom. Love that. 2 weeks ago, I was on the beach, and I was in my Speedo. No, I wasn't, but I was on the beach in my bathing suit. I don't wear Speedo. Anyway, fall's awesome because the leaves are changing. High blue skies, absolutely gorgeous. Leaves, low humidity, leaves are falling. A lot of festivals. Fall's awesome. Winter absolutely sucks. Hate the winter. It gets dark. Its average temperature is 30 to 45 degrees. They say snowfall on average is 20 inches. I don't believe that. I call out BS on that. It seems like it hadn't snowed here in years. It's dark and ugly in January and February. The days are short. But come March 1st, it's all about the Orioles and spring training. Lacrosse season has started. So that winter, January and February, once you make it past those months, you're golden. Look, I know you don't know me from Adam. Please, I walked away from life 17 years ago, and I dedicated my life on my way back that I would be out here to serve and make a difference. We get calls and emails every single day from people just like you, and I love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. You have to understand that there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's good things happening, but look, we got you covered, okay? Dedicated to making a difference, and that's what we're doing. Got you covered. Number 3 on the list for most frequently asked questions is Captain Obvious. Is Baltimore safe? Depends on where you go. It depends on where you're hanging out. The city, in some parts is very, very rough. You don't go to those areas. You got to be smart when you're down the city. It's a metropolitan area. You got to have your head on the swivel. You got to have your eyes wide open when you're down in Baltimore. We're talking about it's Baltimore, Maryland. It's an inner city. When you're talking about Baltimore, it's not just the inner city. You're talking about the 5 counties that represent Baltimore. Also, the 5 surrounding counties, I'm not steering you around the Beltway. They have a high emphasis on safety. City of Baltimore, there are specific areas noted by the FBI and noted such as Cherry Hill, Sandtown, Winchester, that there's no reason for you to be there. There's no tourist attractions. Unless you have family or you're volunteering, you have no reason to be in those areas because they are dangerous. Majority of the crime happens in 75% of the violent crimes happen in the same designated areas time and time again. And of course, the economists list Baltimore based on its population, the number 7 most dangerous city in all of America. So it's real. You can't sugarcoat that. My wife, she don't like going down there. I love it. Again, the majority of the crime happens in specific areas. Roland Park, Canton, Locust Point, 65% less crime in those areas. So you got to remember, Baltimore's a major metropolitan area, number 20 in America. You got DC, high crime rates right now. San Francisco is a mess. Can't even walk down the sidewalk. People defecating everywhere. And you got Austin. They have problems. And I'll get political. It's probably because of the stepping back of the police approach. How they're policing today is totally different. And I'm not saying that to arrest everybody, but there's got to be a change in how we're policing because how we've gone about it thus far isn't working. But they've had some success here in Baltimore, but you got to be smart. In these areas, whether urban Baltimore or the surrounding counties, you got to check out spotcrime.com. Remember, Baltimore's got 200 plus neighborhoods, and there are many neighborhoods that are safe. So again, I'm not steering you. You can check it out on your own, spotcrime.com. But look, there's some dynamite areas in Baltimore. But if you go into certain areas, as FBI noted, Cherry Hill, Sandtown, Winchester, you're at your own risk. My number 1 goal is to showcase every inch of Baltimore and the greater Baltimore area through our videos so you have a complete understanding of the best area that fits your lifestyle. This is about you. If you're moving about or relocating to Baltimore, Maryland or Baltimore suburbs, then subscribe, tap the bell, because you got to know about the current market. It is changing. Rates are dropping. There's big time opportunities out there. And guess what? Nothing but the truth here. The 4th most common question I get about Baltimore, are the schools good? No. Depends on where you are. The public schools in Baltimore City absolutely stink. Believe it or not, they're the 4th most funded school system in America. And that's shameful. We have schools right now going into winter where they lack heat. That's unconscionable. You have schools that lack AC during the spring. You just can't have that. Crumbling infrastructure. There are many dedicated teachers out there, such as Jess Long, one of my associates' wife, who works at Arundel Elementary School in Cherry Hill, that purchase their own supplies. And they do it because they're dedicated. And there's some great teachers out there. And there's some very, very good schools like City College, Roland Park Elementary School, Hampstead Hill Elementary, Polytech School. There are some great schools in Baltimore. You got to check that out on niche.com or greatschools.org. But you also have to understand that the overall academics for Baltimore City are rated a C-, and I think they're being gracious because I think it's less than that. There's dynamite private schools all through Baltimore City, but that increases your budget. That's expensive. I got twins in private school. I know it. I can't imagine that, adding that additional expense when you have other issues facing you in the city. And that's why there's a flight out of the city in Baltimore. The surrounding counties, Anne Arundel County has some dynamite schools. Baltimore County has some dynamite schools. You have Carroll County, great schools. Howard County has a big time emphasis on schools. So you got to check out them, greatschools.org. I'm not steering you. Harford County, another area where it's got some blue ribbon schools. You check it out on your own, greatschools.org, niche.com. Please, you have access to great education, and it does exist in the urban center, in specific areas, specific schools, or even in a public environment. You got to check that out in Baltimore County or throughout the surrounding counties, rather. The fifth most frequently asked question is, why does Baltimore hate DC? Never even thought about it, but it's true. You know, we don't like Pittsburgh either. It's a football rivalry. Don't like Cleveland. Don't like Cincinnati. But we don't like DC. You know, DC and Baltimore, they're 30 minutes apart, and we're night and day. We are totally different as far as from a standpoint of the city. You know, Baltimore's always had that blue collar roots. We always were that maritime or that industrial grit. Bethlehem Steel was here forever, and it defined us of who we are. DC's the free capital, the entire world. So you got a lot of people coming in, going out. Nobody really from DC. That's a shot. Sorry. And DC's always overshadowed Baltimore. And, like DC was better than us. Fuck that. That's not true. F that. Apologize. But, that's just not the case. Baltimore has an edge. We take a lot of pride in our city, and we're second to no one. And that's always been the whole crux as far as DC versus Baltimore. Here I'm a sports fan. I love hockey. I root for the Caps, but it's this is my Baltimore edge where it's kind of hard for me to dive in because they're DC. And the same with Wizards. Besides them, the Wizards basketball having a dumb name. Anyway, DC's always come off as a privileged class, egos. And that's just not Baltimore. See, down DC, you're down there. People are saying, they're going to ask you where you work. You come to Baltimore, we're going to ask you what high school you went to. And the reason for that, we're a community because we might know somebody that what high school you went to, we might know somebody, a family friend or whoever that brings us together. Baltimore's always like 5 degrees separation, like, Kevin Bacon. But anyway, I do like DC visiting it. It's a nice town. I go down there, but I'm Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore. That's right. Baltimore. I know you think I'm raw, and I am raw because you stay with me because we're getting out there. We're going to be getting out there on the prowl and getting out these neighborhoods. We're going to be vlogging, as I call it. But check out my next video, the 7 hottest neighborhoods coming up next. And guess what? I love you, Baltimore. Love you.